Welcome on in, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 23rd, and this is the Denver Sports Rundown. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I am Dante Gomez. I'm joined by Anilo Piro. Anilo, thank you for being here.
Let's go.
I was thinking about it on the drive in. Are we Mario and Luigi?
Ooh, that's a good comp. Are you Mario and I'm Luigi, or is it the vice versa?
I mean, in this case, I feel like I have to be Luigi because I'm tall and
that's
slender.
fair. So you're saying I'm short and fat? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not saying you're short and fat, but
You just call me short and fat.
It was more just a realization
that,
of basically we're Mario and Luigi. And
That's
there's
fair.
a lot of mustache going on this show.
Love my guy Luigi.
Let's dive into it. Broncos snapped their 11-game win streak on Sunday to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Red hot Jacksonville Jaguars team, 4-0 in their last four. Trevor Lawrence has been absolutely killing it. 14-0 touchdown interception ratio over that span. So not necessarily the worst loss for the Broncos to get. However, typically when an NFL team has an 11-game win streak throughout the year and you drop one, you have a little bit of breathing room. Not the case for this Broncos team. Kind of have to put the pedal to the metal here. Go 2-0 most likely to make sure you secure the 1 seed over the Patriots and secure the AFC West over the Chargers. How have your expectations for this team changed even from last week before the loss?
They really haven't changed at all. I kind of thought going into this 2-game set with the Packers and the Jaguars that the Broncos would likely split. And you also mentioned the Chargers, the Patriots, right? The Jacksonville Jaguars with their win also have an outside shot now at the 1 seed in the AFC. Look, I just got finished doing the morning show and we did a deep dive, me and John Davis, about how leaky this defense has been. And it's not mutually exclusive to just this season. This is now the 3rd season in a row under the command of Vance Joseph where we've seen this Broncos defense really start to teeter off in the second half of the season. So they got to get that figured out. I know they've got a number of injuries. It looks like Justin Sternad might try to thug it out and play this weekend. We know Brandon Jones is not there currently. Dre Greenlaw appeared to be hobbled at the end of that Jacksonville Jaguars game. So a lot of moving parts with respect to the defense and the injuries. And they've got to get this thing cleaned up sooner rather than later because Bo Nix in the offense can only do so much right now, and the defense, at least to start the season, was the strong suit of the Denver Broncos. So it's going to be interesting to see how these final 2 games shake out. I think the Broncos will be just fine against the Kansas City Chiefs, who I think are in 1-2-3 Cancun mode at the moment. But the big question is that Week 18 game. What does it mean for both of these teams? The Chargers have a difficult matchup coming up this weekend against the Houston Texans. We'll see if the Texans can help the Broncos out here a little bit. They need that game as well. But it's going to be interesting, Dante.
Yeah, it should be a fun, exciting finish to the NFL season. And I think that's what the NFL really wanted when they went from the 1 bye from 2 byes to 1 bye, where every game is going to matter down the stretch. When you say your expectations haven't changed, were you in the Super Bowl or bust category of Broncos country in terms of expectations? Maybe not to start the year, but let's call it 3 weeks ago. Was that your mindset for this team?
I don't think it's a Super Bowl or bust season. The Broncos have exceeded my expectations, which is kind of why I've never really subscribed to the Super Bowl or bust mindset necessarily. I think at this point, it's AFC Championship or bust. I think anything short of the AFC Championship with what the Broncos have shown you this season would be relatively disappointing. I mean, you mentioned the 11-game win streak, Bo Nix in the offense starting to come to life, the defense to start the season playing at an elite level and then tapering off. I think if the Broncos get the 1 seed, there's no excuse for them not to at least get to the AFC Championship game. And we'll see. Maybe it's a rematch against Jacksonville. Maybe you have to play Buffalo. Maybe you have to play Houston in that defense. Easier said than done. But with that 11-game win streak and what the Broncos have been able to showcase this season, I think the AFC Championship is a realistic expectation at a minimum for this Broncos team.
And you mentioned you put a little caveat on there, so I want to double down on that with you. You said if they're the 1 seed, AFC Championship or bust. We can take a look at the Broncos' remaining schedule here. Thursday night, Christmas night on primetime. They are at Kansas City. Should be hopefully a lighter game for the Broncos. Kansas City, not very good this year, missing their top 2 quarterbacks on the roster. They're kind of in that packet in. Let's get to the offseason. Let's move on to 2026. And then that final week hosting the Chargers could be for all the marbles as far as the AFC West goes. How big of a disappointment would it be if after that Chargers game, we're looking at the playoff bracket and the Broncos are the 5 seed? Is it still AFC Championship or bust at that point? Or do you have to recalculate your expectations at that point? What would your thought be?
I think you definitely have to recalculate at that point, just because that would be extremely disappointing considering the tenor of this season. I mean, you talk about an 11-game win streak, and with the Patriots losing to the Bills a couple of weeks ago, you firmly put yourself in the driver's seat to capture that number one seed. And look, I'm not trying to downplay their schedule. Green Bay, Jacksonville, Chiefs, and Chargers. Those are three of those 4 games are pretty tough for the Denver Broncos. But if they were to bottom out and lose the AFC West and lose the 1 seed in that Week 18 game, which would essentially be a home playoff game for the Broncos, that's got to be extremely disappointing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think you can't go from 11-game win streak, 12 total wins at this point. You can end with 13 wins and be the 5 seed.
That's crazy.
It's just, that's the way the NFL does their playoffs, though. Its division winners are obviously the 1 through 4 seed. So if somehow the Chargers are able to overcome the Broncos, would you put that more as the Broncos blowing it, or the Chargers just having a miraculous season that kind of went under the radar for the most part the last month or two?
I think it'd be the Broncos blowing it, just because you controlled your own destiny. You can't worry about the Los Angeles Chargers. And look, let's give credit where credit is due. Chargers been a really good team. I mean, they're down Slater, they're down Joe Alt, and they've been able to piece it together even with Justin Herbert having surgery on his non-throwing hand. They've missed Omarion Hampton for a majority of this season. Najee Harris has been out for a majority of this season as well. So the Chargers have had to overcome a ton of adversity. And again, you got to tip your cap to what they've been able to accomplish. But I'm looking at this as 11-game win streak, and the Bronco fan, like, I'd be, semi-critical on these shows, and they're coming after me. What more do you want to see? This team is legit. This team is the best team in the NFL. They better figure it out and lock in this 1 seed, because if not, how is that not an extremely disappointing end to what has been a relatively incredible season for this Broncos team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they have to figure it out. You can't go into the playoffs as the 5 seed. I mean, the Broncos are a great team, but I don't know if I trust them to go out and win potentially 3 playoff road games to go to the Super Bowl. You'd much rather have 2 home games as your path. So just drastically different paths that are still on the table as we head into week 17 and 18. We'll transition here to some lighter news, some happier news for Broncos country. They get 6 Pro Bowlers this season, which, people
love the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Let's go. People have varying thoughts. We'll go with that on the Pro Bowl at this point. Not really much of a game at all. Or it's just not a game at this point. I think it's still an honor to be voted into the Pro Bowl. And it shows how deep this roster is. They are tied for the NFL lead with 6 Pro Bowlers. We can take a look at those guys as well. Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, Quinn Miners, Patrick Surtain, Garrett Bowles, and Cortland Sutton, with Bonito, Miners, and 2 of the other ones on there, the graphic is escaping me, as starters for that game. They were noted there with little asterisks next to their names. So you can go back and look at that. So 4 starters, 6 total Pro Bowlers. Does it feel like they should have had more? Does that feel like the right number? Do you think anybody snuck in that maybe shouldn't have been? I know Cortland Sutton isn't listed as maybe a top 10 receiver in the NFL, but still a Pro Bowler, number 1 here in Denver on a very good team. What was your thoughts when you saw that list come out?
I think it's about right. I mean, Patrick Surtain was essentially a sure thing. I think Nick Bonito has been very good for a majority of this season as well. Cortland Sutton's been clutch in clutch moments too. And Quinn Miners, I also believe, is one of the more underrated and undervalued, not respect to what he's being paid, but just Quinn Miners should be talked about as one of the better offensive linemen in the NFL right now. I think if there was a snub, if I had to give you a name, I think Talanoa Hufanga has been great for this Broncos team this season, but I think 6 is a pretty good number for this team.
You stole my answer. Talanoa Hufanga was my
only
snub
answer,
as
though.
well. I mean, to me, I think he deserved to be in there. I think the impact that he makes on this Broncos defense is it just turns this defense from very good to great for what we've seen for the most part of the year. And the Broncos defense has been let's call it a top 3 defense unequivocally for the entire season at this point, and he's a big part of that. So I would have had Hufanga in there, but I think getting 6 in is still great for this Broncos team. Like I said, it's a tied for the NFL lead as far as how many Pro Bowlers you're getting into the game. So should be good. Let's hope that none of those guys are playing in the Pro Bowl or at the Pro Bowl, meaning that the Broncos would be in Santa Clara for Super Bowl 60 instead. But yeah, that's exciting. It's an exciting time to be a Denver Broncos fan, a Denver sports fan in general, as we kind of transition here to a variety of topics. This one outside of Denver, but we'll still get to the Nuggets and Avs here as well. The Kansas State Chiefs.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I know Chiefs, and they're I guess it's the Kansas lawmakers and government putting in a bid there to not move the stadium, build a new stadium for the Chiefs out in Kansas. Still Kansas City, the general Kansas City metro area, but on the Kansas side of things. To me, that just kind of spoke to, a lot of teams are having to move their stadiums and arenas, and maybe it's not the most perfect fit for the fans always. And, this is a great example of that in the Kansas situation or the Chiefs situation. Obviously, the Broncos don't have to go through that, most likely. I think it's all but confirmed that they're going to be able to build that new stadium here in downtown Denver, the Denver, area here. So I mean, does that get you even more juiced for how good this Broncos ownership has been to the fans and to the team and the organization?
Yeah, the Broncos have one of the best ownership groups in the NFL for sure. And I'm honestly just I'm not a Kansas City Chiefs fan, but the game is so far gone. The NFL has become so big that it can't fail. It's what happened to football, man? Outdoor winter games, elements, environment, dome left and right, Final Four, blah, blah, Super Bowl host, this and that. I'm going to miss the NFL that I grew up with. You can't hit players over the middle like you once were able to. All these different flags and the penalties. It's ridiculous with the NFL. It's just been, I don't want to say a watered down product. It's just not the game that I grew up loving and enjoying to watch as well. So I'm sure the stadium will be cool. I'm sure it'll be glitz and glamour. I'm sure it'll be awesome. They'll get their Super Bowl. They'll get their Final Four. Yay, 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 yay. But we will lose some of the excitement that I think is NFL football, which is those snow games and all that kind of stuff. And look, Arrowhead has long been considered one of the hardest places to play in the NFL, particularly in recent memory with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and them doing their thing. So from a pure sports fan perspective, I get it. I'm a bit disappointed by it. It is what it is. Welcome to the NFL and professional sports in the modern era. But with respect to the Broncos and their situation, I think the stadium's going to be an absolute banger. And I'm not trying to be hypocritical. They kind of do need a new stadium. When Empower Field Empower Field doesn't have the same history as an Arrowhead does per se. And so it makes a little bit more sense for the Broncos to get a new stadium. And when you have an ownership group that is willing to shell out the dollars that they do. And I also saw this. I think the Kansas City stadium is 70% funded by, taxpayer dollars. The Broncos, 0. That's winning for Broncos country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this ownership just, shows over and over how great they've been to the fans. And you alluded it there that the new Chiefs Stadium will have a dome. It will be closed.
Yep.
Won't be that open air. I mean, the renderings you see, and I'm kind of with you on this. All these new stadiums kind of look the same because the renderings you see there look like what the Raiders Stadium look like what the Chargers/Rams Stadium looks like. The potential Bears next stadium, they all kind of have the same design. It's just gone very corporate, I think, and it's kind of losing that heart and soul to it. So, should be exciting. I'm sure Sean Payton, I don't know if Sean Payton and Bo Nix will still be here by the time the stadium gets built, but I'm sure
should be. I don't know about Sean.
I'm sure the Broncos offense will love playing indoors there instead. Before we get to the Nuggets and Avs, we are going to hit the turn here, presented by the Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar and restaurant. Check them out online or on Instagram at thebirdie.bar. And let's finish up here with Avs Nuggets. Nuggets have a little chance for revenge here, dropping one earlier in the month to the Mavericks. Mavericks are not a great team this year, especially with Kyrie Irving being sidelined to this point. Do you think they get a little bit of revenge tonight as they take on a Dallas team? And it is a back-to-back for the Nuggets, but do you think they get a little revenge here tonight?
Yeah, it's also a part of a 3 and 4, considering they're also going to play on Christmas night. So 3 games in 4 days for Denver, arguably the hardest scheduling dynamic in the NBA when it comes to amount of games relative to time. So yeah, I like the Nuggets in just about every single game. And I know that they lost to Houston, and call me a homer, say whatever you want to say, but I just think with the way that Jamal Murray's playing and Nikola Jokic continues to play, and you got Peyton Watson back, who I think's had a really good season so far for Denver. We know they're down their 2 starters, but Houston's kind of on parallel, 2 different timelines, right? You got Cooper Flagg, the young gun, number 1 overall pick. And then you've got Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving, who are on the back nine of their career, but still very effective players in their own right. It's going to be interesting. You alluded to it as well, right? Not Houston. Dallas is also on the second night of a back-to-back, so that should hopefully kind of go null and void with respect to the rust for both teams here. Yeah, give me the Nuggets.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said, I like the Nuggets in every game. A different team that I like in every game, the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, these guys are a wagon.
Yeah, man.
They just keep winning. They are also in action tonight at Ball Arena down here in Denver. Go check them out. They're taking on the Utah Mammoth, RIP the Phoenix Coyotes. But so they will take on the Mammoth. Do you like them again? I mean, is there a game that you're not going to like them in? Are they just going to win? Do you think they set the points record? I guess that's the kind of questions and discussions we have to have about this team with how great they've been.
They definitely can. I don't know if I want them to, though, because historically, like those type of seasons, I think back to the Boston Bruins from a few years ago, usually doesn't work out well because all I really care about with the Avalanche is another Stanley Cup, right? Like I think setting a points record is like cool. That's like gravy, cherry on top. But like at the end of the day, like I'm not going to like think back and go, oh my gosh, like this 2025 team that's set the point record and lost in the second round. Like that's what I'm thinking about, right? I want to see them go out there and win a championship. But like you said, it's hard to not expect them to win in every single game right now. So let's go Avs.
Let's go Avs. I like the way you put it there. And, maybe not the points record, but being that number 1 seed in their division should be pretty big, as the 2 and 3 seed are Dallas and Minnesota, both also cup contenders. Dallas is having a fantastic season, kind of going under the radar, when you compare it to how great the Avalanche have been, but only 4 points behind. A couple more games they've played, so it's not exactly that even split with 4 games or 4 points behind that they are. But the Avs are going to have to keep their foot on the gas as well. You don't want to end up in that 2-3 seed that we've seen them in the last couple of years here. And then you are facing a very tough team in that first round and an even tougher team in the second round on the road. So I think getting that 1 seed in their division at least is very important for them. Let's hope they can continue that tonight as they take on a decent Utah team. They're middling. I think they have outside chance, maybe getting the wild card out here in the West, or one of the wild card spots out here in the West. But that should be a fun one. And should be a good one out at Ball Arena. And for the Nuggets, they'll also play on Christmas Day. So we have that to look forward to for Denver fans.
Let's go.
The Broncos and Nuggets both in action. But that'll do it for us. We won't be back until Friday. Want to wish everyone out there a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thank you for joining us. And like I said, we'll be back with you guys on Friday.
I do what I love what I do. Second nature to put in the work.